and welcome to Leadership PRN. This is the Faculty of Medicine's podcast on leadership, and my name is Dr. Lara Hazelton. I'm one of the directors of faculty development here at the Faculty of Medicine. Today, I'm really excited to have a very special guest here today, Dr. David Anderson, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine. Welcome, David.
Thanks very much, Lara. Pleasure to be here.
So, David, I imagine that you're known to many of our listeners, but maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a bit about how you became interested in leadership.
So I'm from Halifax, actually born and raised in Halifax, and grew up here. I did my undergraduate education at Queen's University and came back and did medical school at Dal and graduated in 1983. I then did a residency in internal medicine and followed by specialty training in hematology. And I spent a year here at Dal doing some work in hematology, and then I went to McMaster University and completed my hematology training and stayed there and did a research fellowship in thromboembolic disease. And in 1992, I moved back to Halifax with my wife and young family and started work at the VG Hospital and with the Faculty of Medicine at Dal. And the early years of my career, I would be probably what people would describe as a clinician scientist. I spent a lot of my time doing research, and my focus and my clinical work really overlapped considerably with my research activities, and with a focus on thromboembolic disease, and had a really great time doing that and building a regional and national and even international profile in that research with collaborators across the country. So it was really fun. And probably about 10 years after I started my practice, the division head position became available in our hematology group, and the other likely candidate and I sort of looked at each other and said, well, one of us is going to have to take this role on. And I was a little bit more senior at the time, so I put my hat in the ring for that position, and I've been quite involved in medical leadership since that time.
And now you're the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine. What does that involve?
Yeah, so I've been dean at Dal since 2015. I think it's really been the best job of my life, I would say, and it's really a challenging and rewarding position. And as dean, I'm overseeing a fantastic team of individuals that is involved with all aspects of running a faculty, and there are things: education, research, leadership, focus on the social accountability of the work that we're doing. Also, it's been a real pleasure to work with Dalhousie University. That there's a strong leadership team at Dal, great supports, and people that have a lot of experience and insight on what it takes to run a faculty. So those people have also been really, really key in what we've been achieving here.
So that's interesting. You say this has been the best job of your life. What is it about this job because you've had a few roles. You've had the clinical role, you've had the sort of scientist role. What is it about this one that makes it the best job?
Yeah, I think when people will ask, like, why leadership? Like, what's the especially as physicians, we're trained to look after patients. We're very engaged in the one-on-one aspect of interacting with patients and their families and being the advocate and support for patients. That's incredibly important and incredibly rewarding. With leadership, though, you have the opportunity to influence such a bigger sphere of activity. And that really is true, I think, at all levels of leadership. So I've had leadership roles in research, have had leadership roles in medical administration, and now have come into this role in the faculty. And it's really, I think, the most satisfying and rewarding things are really empowering people to do a great job at what they're doing, and helping to have people fulfill their career and personal ambitions. And in a leadership role like this, you just have such a great opportunity to influence so many things in our work environment. And I think really the special thing about being the dean of a faculty is the engagement with learners. For me, it really felt like coming full circle. Like when I was a medical student and resident and learning to become a physician, you just felt so both privileged and empowered by what you were able to do, and it was an incredibly exciting time. And the sort of the leaps and bounds and skills and knowledge that people go through over their years of medical school and residency are, of course, transformative. And to have been able to come back on the other end of that and then to have had some role and some influence on the impact of education on our learners has just been a really exciting opportunity for me, just to feel you've come sort of full circle in this journey. And it just is, I think, really getting better.
I'm interested. So you mentioned leadership experience in research and clinical leadership as well. How would you see your experiences in those spheres being similar or different to the academic leadership?
I think a lot of the skills are comparable. Like leadership involves working with people and dealing with people. So the practical aspects of that aspect of leadership is cross-cutting. I think the issues around strategy, around planning, around evaluating what you're doing, around challenging people to maximize their potential, those things really are quite comparable as well. I think the complexity around academics, particularly in medical leadership, is that there is a tremendous responsibility of physicians that are involved in medical education and research to also be involved in care delivery. And there often are challenges around time management, around organization to empower people to be excellent at both of those areas and to have the time and the skill set and the opportunity to be successful in academics as they are dealing with incredibly busy and, particularly in the last 3 or 4 years, the challenging times related to this pandemic. It's a negotiation. It's recognizing that people have finite days and they've got many things outside of medicine that they're wanting to achieve. So it's just making it all work and having those relationship at balancing academic and other priorities that in particular physicians have and really our scientists as well. Those are really key things, I think, to pay attention to. And I think have really the importance of that has really come to the forefront over the last 4 years.
You're in your second term now. What are some of your priorities in your second term?
Yeah, so we've, as you know, Lara, we've just finished quite a robust strategic planning process and have launched our new strategic plan in the Faculty of Medicine, which is called Realizing Our Ambition. I'm very excited about this plan, in part because we spent a long time consulting our teams, our stakeholders, our external partners to get feedback about what we need to be doing as a faculty, along with engaging our leadership team and our people in putting this plan together. So we're focusing on 4 major areas of activity, which we are calling streams, recognizing the interrelationship between these activities. And not surprisingly, 2 of those streams are focusing on education and research, which have been really the hallmark of what faculties of medicine do. We also, though, are paying very, very careful attention to the social accountability role of the faculty, which we developed in our previous strategic plan in my first term, which was termed Serving and Engaging Society. And it really speaks to what we need to address the needs of our community in the Faculty of Medicine, along with what we need to do to address system change. How, as a faculty, do we address those two very, very important areas? And then finally, for realizing our ambition, our new strategic plan, we're focusing on a new priority, which we're terming valuing people. And as I mentioned, I think this is really something that has come to the forefront in the last number of years, and particularly since with the pandemic, that people are burnt out. People are just have been pushed to their maximum, and for many of us have gone over the edge as far as attempting to balance all of the competing things that we need to do in our life, and for my responsibility around our work life. And we recognize we've got to do better at managing our people and respecting that people need time, people need support, people need to be valued for all the important contributions that they're doing. So I'm really excited about that particular stream of work, and I think we'll be in a much better place, and our faculty, staff, and students will be in a better place by paying particular attention to that area of valuing people.
Do you want to expand a bit on what that will look like, what some of the actions associated with that last pillar might be?
Yeah, so it is very interesting, and of course we're just working through a lot of the things that we're going to plan to achieve. I think there will be an important focus on wellness of all of our teams, our students, staff, and faculty, and what we can do to address concerns that lead people to be unwell. We also need to recognize and reward the work that people are doing. That I think sometimes there's a perception that we just take things for granted, that people that do good work, we just expect them to do more good work, and that people are sometimes pushed that extra mile until they get to the point that they're overwhelmed. How do we harness the great work people are doing and the potential that people are doing and keep them healthy and happy, and recognize their achievements and celebrate the achievements of people as we move forward? I think a third area really would focus around our geography. So we recognize in the Faculty of Medicine we have a maritime role. We have a medical school campus in New Brunswick. We are going to have a medical school campus in Cape Breton. And so a lot of the work that we do is outside of our major urban centers. And historically, we have focused most of our time, attention on our faculty and staff in our urban areas. So that needs to change. And there are major differences in how people work in the community. There are different funding models. There are different pressures that faculty and staff face. And we need to, again, assist people to do a great job wherever they are working for us. It should be fun and rewarding to have the opportunity, the privilege to be involved in teaching and research and really working at the important societal issues that we're paying attention to. And we want to make it easy and fun for people to be engaged and involved with the faculty. And those are some of the initiatives that we need to work on in this area. One other thing I'd like to emphasize around our priorities, when we were working through the strategic planning process, we recognized that there were two areas that were truly cross-cutting and impact all of the work that we do in the Faculty of Medicine. And those two areas, which we've termed cross-cutting themes in our strategic plan, are because they impact our areas of education, research, serving and engaging society, and valuing people, are equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility, and our maritime role. I've spoken about some of the issues that relate to our maritime role, but I really want to emphasize the importance of equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. With the formation of our Serving and Engaging Associate Dean role, and through the leadership of Dr. Gaynor Watson-Creed, we have made some strides in development, particularly in the area of admissions for our medical students. And we're seeing we are becoming more diverse. And as we get greater leadership from our Indigenous Indigenous community with under the direction of Dr. Brent Young, and also in our African Nova Scotian community under the leadership of Dr. Leah Jones, we are starting to see a change in action for the better in equity, diversity, and inclusion roles. And very excited about these developments as how they're positively impacting diversity in our student body. Very excited to see things that are happening around improving the learning environment within the Faculty of Medicine, and also very excited to what we're going to be able to do in the future in these incredibly important areas.
What advice would you offer listeners who might someday want to become Dean of Medicine?
Yeah, I might just take that back and sort of say what advice to give people who are interested in leadership in general and who want to aspire to take that route in either medicine or PhD scientists in leadership and in administration or research or whatever aspect of one's career might take them. So I think it's very beneficial to have mentors and people you can talk to about this. So I think it's a great experience for people to sit down and talk to their immediate leader and just get a sense like why do you do this? What's in it? What attracted you to this area? Why do you keep doing it? What's in it for you? Why should I be paying attention to this? And get those words of wisdom from people that have been in the area and have had some experience there and can really, I think, give you immediate feedback about why this might be a valuable thing to you. There's a lot of opportunity for education and leadership, and our faculty is doing a lot of work in that area under your leadership, Lara, and Dalhousie is doing it. Our health authority partners, Doctors Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, are also involved in these types of activities. So it's a great chance to get some formal or semi-formal education about what it's like to be a leader and what skills you can bring to the leadership area. And I think an incredible value of getting into education, particularly when it's done regionally, is that you meet other people that are in leadership roles, often in areas that you've previously never intersected with them in your work, but they've got lots of advice, lots of experience, lots of words of wisdom, lots of things to share that really I think are just incredibly helpful at allowing people to then take advantage of that information and start to shape what they might be doing in their careers. And then I think if you're aspiring to higher levels of leadership to some of the major positions, you really need to look at what are the job requirements for those areas, because some of it is beyond you've been a good doctor and a good scientist and you're ready for a new challenge. Well, building your experience is also critical for building your resume of activity is very, very important for you to be able to be successful in being a candidate for a major leadership role. And you also will have to make some life choices. Like you will need to decide if you're interested in seeking a major leadership role, you may find that the timing for that role doesn't really fit with your plans at your own institution. And you may need to say, am I willing to move? Am I willing to look at opportunities in other places in order for me to have one of these incredible leadership experiences? And again, that's another discussion that you'll need to have with your family and make that sort of life decision about whether that type of move is something that you would entertain. I think, again, the rewards of these leadership positions are pretty incredible, and the difference you can make and the influence that you can have on whatever sphere of work you're involved with, it's pretty pretty powerful stuff, and I think it's humbling some of the experiences that you get into that you say, boy, I never would have thought the department head or the division head or the dean was responsible for this, but there you go. And but it really is a great privilege and a great opportunity to have a very, very positive difference. And I certainly would encourage any student, resident, scientist, faculty member to strongly encourage what you can do with your career. And leadership, I think, is really a key component for that. I think just one further point on that, Lara, that as we're working in medical education and also looking at education of our graduate students, it's really preparing them for life after graduation when they move into their particular sphere of activity. And for our physician graduates, we would like some of them to be getting involved in leadership soon after or immediately after graduation to get involved, and that leadership should not be a default function, that you're the last person leaving the room or something like that. It's something that we really want to aspire our great students and people that are interested in the area to go after it. And with our graduate students, we recognize that most of them will not go into academia as career choices. So to be able to provide them with experiences that are going to set them up for success when they're finished their training with us, that's very important as well.
I think sometimes for people who are interested in academic leadership positions, they may not realize the importance of the academic credentials like publishing and doing research. Would you see that as an important criterion for senior leadership in medicine?
I think there is truth to that, Lara, that I think particularly in a dean's role that most faculties of medicine in North America and probably in the first world, that having experience with research and education is very important in background for success of some of these positions. That's not universally the case, and I would never discourage someone that says, look, I might not have ticked all the usual boxes, but might have something special about my experiences that I think still will make me a very strong candidate for these positions. I guess I would agree it's the norm that people would have experience in both research and education and in something like a dean's role. Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming to speak with us today, David. It's been a real pleasure to hear your thoughts and your insights about leadership and also about the directions that the Faculty of Medicine is going in.
A pleasure. Thanks for having me, Lara.
And that's another episode of Leadership PRN. If you have ideas for an upcoming show, either about topics you'd like to see covered or people you would like me to interview, feel free to reach out to me at lara.hazelton@dal.ca or lara.hazelton@nshealth.ca. Until next time, take care.